Hey everyone, it's Kathy.
And Paul here with Adulting.
We're here to help you navigate the crazy world of adulting.
Because let's be real, it's a wild ride. We'll be dropping tips, sharing stories,
And maybe even spilling some embarrassing secrets along the way.
so get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, get ready to laugh, learn, and level up your adulting game. This is Adulting. Don't forget to like, follow, and or subscribe, and share this podcast. Head over to adulting.com for more information and to submit questions for us about adulting.
And maybe even pick up some of our new merchandise. And if you know any fellow adults who need some guidance, send them our way.
Welcome back to Adulting, your place to find fellowship, guidance, and hopefully some entertainment. We are some random 50-somethings that have 4 adult children. With the experience we have had and are witnessing our adult children have, we decided that instead of just bitching, moaning, and whining, that we would put this thing together and try to help anyone out there that is struggling possibly find an easier way, a simpler way to become an adult. Primarily, our target audience is the 18 to 30-year-olds that are feeling the squeeze of life. That being said, there's some useful tips from the other side of the table for adults also.
For older adults who have young adults.
Exactly. We know adulting. It's heavy, it's hard, it's draining. Believe it or not, we were there too. Times were different, but we were there.
And they were just as hard on us as they are on you guys. And yes, times were different, but those times were hard too.
It's really difficult to get an exact single global number to pinpoint. The research suggests that it's hundreds of millions of young adults between 18 and 30 that are struggling to adjust to adult life. We're facing a mental health perfect storm worldwide.
As of early 2026, the global youth population ages 15 to 24 is approximately 1.3 billion. With this demographic and slightly older, up to 30, 35, significant percentages are experiencing severe adjustment issues, often termed a quarter-life crisis.
Now, we've had a front row seat at this. We've seen it from many different levels, from our oldest being 28 to our youngest being 19. We're watching it. We constantly were bitching about it and decided to do something about it. Believe us, this podcast is not making us rich. It's not making us famous. In fact, we're still paying out of pocket for the expenses of this podcast, but we're not going to stop. I think you would agree with that, right?
Here to help, and if we can help one person, that's one person that's having less of a hard time adulting.
I want to go over just how bad this crisis, this swell is that's coming here. There's a global mental health crisis. A 2026 analysis of nearly 1 million people across 84 countries found that 41% of internet-enabled young people ages 18 to 34 face a mind health crisis with declines in cognitive, emotional, social, and physical capacities affecting their ability to manage life. Think about that. 41% of internet-enabled young adults. Let me ask you, how many people in the United States do you think are internet-enabled young adults?
All of them. 99%. There are people that are collecting food stamps that don't have jobs, that are struggling, that still have smartphones.
Right. That's for parents out there. I really want you to digest that for a minute. 41% of internet-enabled young adults face a mind health crisis. This isn't mental health. Mind health actually declines in cognitive, emotional, social, and physical capacities that's affecting their ability to manage life.
There's also the quarter-life crisis. Some studies indicate that around 75% of 25 to 33-year-olds have experienced a quarter-life crisis. Pretty much got their life together, got it going, and then just imploded and paused, and they're starting over. They're just having a hard time adjusting to being a 20-something-year-old adult with responsibilities, bills, and their future.
Now let's talk about mental health for a minute. So we spoke about mind health. which is the physical part, the mind. Now let's talk about mental health. In the United States, roughly 36% of young adults reported experiencing depression, and 29 reported experiencing anxiety.
Listen, I get it. A lot of people are having a hard time, but those numbers are huge. 36% of adults reported experiencing depression. I have a feeling that some young adults don't know the difference between being scared, being anxious, being depressed, being sad. It's okay to have emotions and feel them. Doesn't mean that you have to be in a full-blown depression.
Combine those two, mental health, a third, and 41% with actual mind health problems, based on the tracks we're on right now. I don't care if we're the last podcast out there standing, waving this flag. That's what we're going to do. That's what we started this thing for. That's what we're going to do. We're here to issue a warning, to help people get around it. And yes, I see the irony in our delivery method being over the internet.
People are having a really hard time. Young people are struggling to adult. They don't have the financial or life skills to succeed. According to a 2025 survey, only 27% of employed Gen Z adults, which is 18 to 27-year-olds, feel that they can afford to live comfortably on their own. That is not necessarily a you problem or a your fault. The economy is horrible for young people to get out there and try and get on their own, but there are ways to do it. You can have a roommate. You can have multiple roommates. There are ways to succeed. There are ways to learn how to be financially responsible. And hopefully some of our podcasts are helping you get there.
Now let's talk about some regional variances because it's pretty foretelling of what's coming here. In some countries like Indonesia and Turkey, over 75% of young adults reported experiencing a quarter-life crisis. We have to pay attention to what's going on on a national and international level and start changing trajectory here. We're losing a generation.
And there are key factors that are driving these adjustment difficulties for you. There's economic pressures, the rising housing costs, high debt, coming out of college with a boatload of school loans, difficulty finding stable, well-paying jobs. They all prevent you from being independent, but there is a little bit of a workaround. You could go out, get a decent paying job, live at home for a few years, do the stuff you would normally do if you lived on your own, like dishes and laundry and clean the house. And your parents would probably be thrilled to let you get a little bit ahead in the world and give them a helping hand around the house.
I think for that to happen, though, there needs to be a family dynamic that allows that kind of teamwork. And that's where the other side of the table could learn something from our podcast.
Right, because as adults, we find it really hard. I at least do find it really hard to live independently with other people that I used to take care of, to not just do stuff for them.
It's certainly a learning curve for both of us. It can be done, though, and it needs to be done if we're going to rescue this generation that's fallen into the abyss here. Talk about those economic pressures. We know from our oldest, getting her first apartment, she had to show $90,000 a year income to qualify. Now, she got a roommate and she took care of all that. But if it was two people earning minimum wage, they wouldn't have qualified for the apartment. It's not like she got the Shangri-La here.
Correct. Apparently, there's a lack of purpose. 58% of young adults report a lack of meaning or purpose in their lives. I want to explain something to you. You can have a purpose. You can give service to others. There are a million things out there that you can help people with to give you a purpose. It doesn't always have to be your job. Your job doesn't mean it's your purpose or it's your forever job. What it means is it's a paycheck. It's a way of getting to where you need to get to.
Social isolation is a huge problem also. Despite being the most highly connected digitally generation yet, 33% of young adults report feeling lonely often, with only 17% reporting strong, deep social connections. Parents, I want you to ask yourself, when you got out of college or when you got out of high school, did you feel like you didn't have any deep social connections? Because I still talk to high school and college friends.
Honestly, I'm sure the pandemic had a lot to do with them being locked up for 2 years and they're becoming adults right now, and that socializing is hard. But when you're adults and you're sitting in your room by yourself for multiple hours a night, talking to people that aren't giving you the interaction you need and the social skills you need, you're choosing to be isolated. It's not healthy.
It's not healthy. It's also being fueled by unrealistic expectations that are the social media constant comparison to curated lives. These kids grow up from pre 18 watching these YouTube influencers and Instagram and all the other stuff.
And it is unrealistic. There have been so many social media influencers that have unfortunately taken their own lives in the last year alone because they're putting something out there that's not real. That's not, if their life was that happy, then why would they be ending it?
Now we need to talk about a happiness U-shaped curve. This widespread struggle has caused researchers to reevaluate the U-shaped happiness curve, as young adults 18 to 29 are now reporting higher rates of dissatisfaction and unhappiness than older middle-aged generations. This is another warning sign going down this road. You read somewhere that we probably have the first generation entering school that's going to be less intelligent than the one before, right?
Yes, and they don't mean less intelligent. You'll be more computer savvy and AI savvy, but life skills lacking.
We could probably do episodes on that. Simultaneously, when we do these episodes, we're talking to the parents of these adults. Yes, the parents. We don't have PhDs or anything, but we are seeing disturbing things and themes emerge as we research for our episodes. That's the genesis of this exact episode. If we don't start turning, we got a big problem.
Now, based on 2026 data, parents and employees often misunderstand the struggles of 18 to 30-year-olds, frequently labeling them as unmotivated or failing to launch, a term often considered stigmatizing. In reality, this generation is facing an unprecedented high-pressure environment that combines economic instability, technological disruption, and a mental health crisis.
I'm guilty of that. I am guilty of looking at our children like they're unmotivated or they're failing to launch until we started really looking into this and until I started watching them try to do things. It's different for them. My parents and I, the relationship was different. My relationship with my children is different. They're having a tough time out there. We got to help them.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit to parents and bosses. This is what you're missing and how you can help.
Again, we're not PhDs. This is just what we found so far. And I'm sure it's going to evolve more. There's quite a bit already we found.
Right, like the quote unquote quarter life crisis. It's real and it's early. 18 to 30-year-olds are experiencing profound anxiety about the what am I going to do with my life moments earlier than previous generations. A long time ago, you got a job and you looked for something you were interested in and you kind of went down the road and you just fell into it. Now kids are graduating high school, having to decide on college and a major and having a freak out that they're going to pick the wrong thing.
The economic reality versus perception is a huge problem. Young adults are facing high inflation, skyrocketing housing costs, ridiculously rising student debt, making them pessimistic about being better off than their parents. We've also read stuff saying they're not going to be better off than their parents.
Correct. But we also felt like we were never going to get off the ground. And our parents, when they looked at the price of houses we were buying, went, how can they ever afford such a thing? You figure it out. We did. They did. And the people before them did.
I believe that. However, one of our children recently laid on us something that he picked up along the way, that he would have to make $40 to $60 an hour to have the same quality of life we did at minimum wage.
Our parents.
Oh, our parents. So 2 generations ago.
There's also the broken workplace onboarding. 75% of companies report recent graduates are unsatisfactory, with 1 in 6 managers hesitant to hire them. This reflects a failure in training and mentorship by the employers, not just a lack of skill in young adults. We learned this the hard way. We walked into new careers and kind of hit the ground running. There was no specific training. It was get in there and learn as you go,
It's definitely been full contact.
trial by fire.
Where employers are missing it is these young adults are very talented. I would say at the point I am in my research and observation, a little light on resilience, maybe a little light on discipline. They need some coaching. They need help along the way, but they're smart and they pick up stuff fast.
There's also the disconnection of remote work. Many started their careers during the pandemic, lacking in-person networking, mentorship, and soft skill development, resulting in the anxiety and social isolation that's troubling them.
While we're talking about social isolation, the pandemic caused it, a lot of it. However, us 50 somethings, 2 years was a blip, right? 2, 3 years went by. We just went back to what we were doing.
But we also, you and I, were lucky enough that we worked through 99.9% of it.
Right. But if we talk about a 2 year period in our 50-year life, percentage wise, that's much smaller than a 2 or 3 year period in a 17-year-old's life. We had already formed our ways. Going back to the old ways was easy. Young people today in this generation went through this while their mind and their habits and their bodies were still forming. It became much more ingrained into them, much more difficult to escape back out of. That's part of what's going on here.
These aren't excuses for young people. These are explanations. Now it's time for you to assist them on moving forward and being better at it.
These are some things we're trying to incorporate in our house. Again, we're not perfect.
No, these are all things that we truly are working on as we speak.
The first is shifting from rescuing to coaching. Stop fixing the problems for them and start collaborative problem solving. Use clear, flexible agreements rather than ultimatums.
Address mental health proactively. 69% of college students and many young adults report mental health concerns, which parents often underestimate. Support finding therapy, especially as anxiety can paralyze career progress.
Or blow it up. To give you an example, my parents basically, and it's not any fault of my parents, it's the time we were growing up, would have dismissed these concerns wholeheartedly.
Yeah, if you were sad, they would tell you, what are you sad about? Stop doing it.
Right. And I started that way until I did research and watched what was going on in life. It's something that we have to work with. It's something that has many positives and something that can be a skill, a life skill they're going to walk away with that's much better.
Provide a bridge fund, not unlimited support. Structure financial help as a temporary bridge rather than an open-ended subsidy, allowing them to search for the right path without desperate long-term compromises.
What's that look like for us?
Letting them live here while they save their money so that they can go out in the world and be more comfortable financially.
Right. Let's bring it home. When it comes to finance, our plan is when you're out of school and working, or just out of school, I don't care if they print the money, they're going to pay rent.
Correct, but not rent like an apartment rent, like a small amount of money to learn how to pay rent and to contribute to our expenses.
And they're going to pay some towards our expenses. That's already happening, even if they're in school. And not our expenses, but the expenses. Things like car insurance, cell phone. I want to separate here. We have rent in a category. We're not charging our kids that are in college and working their part-time job while they're in school full-time rent.
Correct, but we are making them, because they are working, help with things like astronomical car insurance bills.
Focus on life skills. Help with financial literacy. We grew up in a time that we learned this in school. Learned it, like did it. I had accounting, I had home ec, I had these things. Between school budget cuts and curriculum changes, the content just isn't there as much anymore. They need help doing this stuff. Budgeting, basic daily tasks like cooking and cleaning.
Right, because they're going to have to know these things when they leave the nest.
In our little 3-foot world, we did too much for our children, and now it's biting us, and we're trying to reverse that trend.
But I am proud to say all of our children do know how to do their own laundry.
And cook.
And cook.
It may be ramen noodles, but they know how to cook.
They actually, if they put some effort into it, they can cook. For bosses and employers, start acting as coaches, not supervisors. Young workers thrive with regular, ongoing, two-way feedback rather than an annual review.
Implement mentorship and, dare I say, reverse mentoring. Pair young employees with experienced staff for the institutional knowledge while allowing them to guide the older employee in new technology and AI integration. Pretty symbiotic there. Bridging the digital divide. What was that movie?
Where he became the intern at 80 years old.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't know what movie
I
that
think it's
was.
actually
Good,
called The Intern.
but that movie was a decent example of how both sides learn from each other.
Provide clear structure and onboarding. Because of pandemic disruptions, many lack workplace etiquette with norms. Offer clear, structured onboarding that teaches them how to communicate professionally.
Respect boundaries while encouraging growth. Support work-life balance, hybrid, remote, flexibility as a mental health necessity while providing clear, achievable career paths and tangible upskilling opportunities. Watching our youngest go through this, where I grew up, I worked for back when I was walking to school uphill both ways in the snow barefoot in the olden days. And I realized I wanted more money. I got another job and worked more. I still believe that today. However, what I see, the challenge for these children is it's difficult to find those flexible work solutions for that second job or whatever else. I've seen some of my kids come home with ridiculous, you can't work for competitors when they're working at a friggin' convenience store. I know as a 50-something-year-old, I just say, you know what, you can kiss my bahootie and I'm going to take a job and feed my family. They can't do that.
So the goal here is to transition from failure to launch to structured launch by providing the emotional and logistical support needed to navigate a complex new economic reality.
Our podcast, Adulting, is meant to serve as a vital bridge between the 18 to 30-year-old demographic and the older generations who support or manage them by acting as a translator. They're different perspectives. Both sides need to sit down and listen. Given the struggles of this age group faces, our podcast strives to add value by shifting the narrative from blame to collaborative problem solving. Simply stated, we want to shine a light in a positive way into the dark and help both sides of this equation learn, grow, and improve while providing some entertainment along the way.
We're going to continue using our podcast to normalize the messiness of adulting, which helps reduce the isolation and shame associated with a failure to launch.
We're going to offer bite-sized practical wisdom and sometimes stupidity, focus on concise, actionable episodes covering high-impact, intermediate adulting skills like navigating office politics, managing remote work isolation issues, and some basic financial literacy.
And we're going to continue to offer a safe space for real talk, featuring WTF moments or epic fails to build resilience and show that setbacks like job loss or changing career paths are a normal part of the modern climbing wall career trajectory. Head over to our Discord server and sound off. Let us know you're there, tip us off on how we are doing, and what you think we can add.
We also see ourselves adding value with the parents. We're not here to tell you what you're doing wrong. Believe us. We've been there, done that with a lot of this stuff. What we want to focus on is what we found that works. Each of us needs to walk our own path, and we are the sum total of our experiences, effort, and knowledge.
We want to teach parents how to transition from a supervisory role to a consultant or coach role, which we are really trying to learn.
Conflict resolution. We've actually went to, an 8-week class that had a ton of this stuff in it. It offers specific scripts and strategies for courageous conversation. Things like living together agreements, managing expectations without damaging the relationship.
We're here to help parents understand that the current economic and digital pressures, housing costs, AI threats, make this launch fundamentally different from our own.
It definitely is so different. I can't even put into words how different. I could have 2-3 jobs most of my life. I'm not lying when I tell you these kids, not because they can't handle it. Employers are just, frankly, jerks. I was going to help an employer in the area because they were so short-staffed, and they, although they said it's a great idea and apply, wouldn't divide the shift. I would have had to work essentially full-time hours at this part-time place to help out the one guy that was pumping gas for 20 pumps for 2-3 weeks till they hired somebody. He ended up pumping gas the whole time alone, and I went, that's your loss, not mine. I wasn't coming for the paycheck.
Now, just some Tips for the bosses out there listening. You're going to be the bosses, but ultimately the market does have a vote when a giant demographic finds its voice.
Start thinking mentorship versus management. Talk to them and figure out how to motivate Gen Z workers by focusing on purpose, feedback, and a culture rather than just traditional performance models. In fact, I'll throw the gauntlet at you. I challenge you to look at the top performers in most fields, and you're going to see they're already doing it. They're beating you to the punch out there.
Decode modern workplace etiquette, explaining why younger workers may prefer concise, digital-first communication over long meetings or authoritative structures. I kind of side with them on this one. I like short, concise.
You don't like having meetings to get ready to have meetings?
Not at all.
Me neither. I do side. However, I don't like the abbreviations in my email.
All right, it's understood because you don't know what they all mean.
That's right. They're pulling the wool over my eyes. Again, look for reverse mentoring opportunities. Youngins out there can definitely show you a thing or two about how to use the interwebs and your phone pewter.
But you can also teach them office place etiquette, and sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And sometimes you'd be surprised once they realize that just some of the older traditions of this is why we dress this way or this is what we do, they find it cool and they'll embrace it, but they had been resistant because they didn't understand the why. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Go forth, spread some light and love into the darkness. Don't forget to head over to adulting.com and check out our store, blog, and more. We'll talk to you soon.
Just remember, you've got this, adults. Keep your head up, your spirits high, and keep adulting with us. Go forth and conquer the world, or at least your to-do list.
And don't forget to like, follow, and or subscribe. Tell your friends, share the podcast, and head over to adulting.com for more information and to connect with us. See you on the next episode. Be safe.